Chief Foreign Editor Rob Parsons is joining me here on set. Rob, what do you make of Russia's announcement that they're going to reduce those combat operations in and around Kyiv, also Genevieve, rather?
Pretty much, I think, what Gulov was just saying now. The initial reaction was, well, that sounds like some sort of progress. And then the moment's pause, people say, well, maybe. And you've got Anthony Blinken, Boris Johnson, and a succession of our other European leaders saying, well, yeah, but, you know, we've learned with Russia that you don't take them at their word. You wait and see what their actions are going to be. And I think that's the prevailing mood at the moment. Let's wait and see what the Russians are really going to do. And, you know, if you're somebody who lives in Kyiv or lives in Chernihiv, you'll be feeling much happier today. You know, you'll probably sleep better at night if, you know, it really does turn out that Russian troops are moving away from those two cities. And as things stand at the moment, there have been signs that the Russians are withdrawing some of their troops. But in the broader scale of things, you know, the question I suppose everybody has to ask themselves is, what does it actually mean? What does it tell us about what Russia's intentions are and this conflict? And that's, I think, where we have to be a bit more negative about what's going on, because this is not accompanied by a ceasefire. If it had been, one could have said, OK, that makes a lot of sense. They're pulling the troops out. There's a ceasefire. That is really a sign that things are about to change. The Russians said this is about building mutual trust. That, I think, is nonsense. There is no attempt by the Russians in this gesture, or whatever you call it, it's not even that, to build mutual trust. It is a redeployment. Let's call things by their proper names. They're pulling the troops out. There is no ceasefire. We don't know where those troops are going, but we do know that just a few days ago they said they were changing their objectives. They were switching to concentrate on their eastern front in Donbass. Most likely that's what's going to happen with these troops. They'll be pulled out of Ukraine, taken into Belarus, into Russia, and they will be redeployed in Donbass. Interesting, though, that no Belarusian troops have been involved in this conflict so far, which does rather suggest, I think, that the Russians are wary of that, not fully trusting how the Belarusian troops would behave. So, I mean, to summarise briefly, I think this is, you know, one of those things where, you know, there've been a lot of words, but when you sit down and look closely at the fine print of this, it's not taking things very much further forward. And the Ukrainians are right to be sceptical about it.
We went into these talks, didn't we, Rob, with very little hope. I mean, something's been achieved, hasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, yes, I mean, that's absolutely right. And I think that has been the position of the Ukrainians as well, that, look, the atmosphere was better. You know, the talks were less acrimonious than they've been in the past. You know, it was nothing like that meeting between Lavrov and the Ukrainians in Antalya 2 or 3 weeks ago, which went down really badly. And it's been much better than those talks that were taking place on the Belarus-Ukraine border. But, you know, was there any substance? Well, Mevlut Çavuşoğlu, the Turkish foreign minister, said he was encouraged. He said things are moving forward. He sees the possibility down the line of a further summit between the foreign ministers, perhaps at top level between the two presidents. Frankly, I think that's a little early to be talking about that. I don't see any prospect that Vladimir Putin is thinking about a summit at this stage with President Zelensky. You know, he wants to achieve the goals he set out for Russia. There is no sign whatsoever at this stage that the Russians are backtracking on that. You know, interestingly, although in those talks in Istanbul, the Russian delegation did not repeat those mantras about denazification and demilitarization. Back in Moscow, the Ministry of Defense was repeating those. And on Russian television, they were repeating the same stuff. So it looks, in reality, that the Russians haven't shifted that position that much at this stage.
Our Chief Foreign Editor, Rob Parsons, thanks very much.